in the most romantic place in the world. We're on the French Riviera, Cannes, Monte Carlo, and the film festival. You walk into a room and all of a sudden there's Merv Griffin, and adds to all the romanticism. Have you been to Monte Carlo?
Yes.
It's like a fairyland. This whole place is like a fairyland.
We filmed in Monte Carlo 5 years ago. We were doing the whole Riviera, including the Cannes Film Festival. And while we were shooting on the streets, one day a man came up and he said, "I'm Count so-and-so, I'm chief of protocol for the palace, and the prince and the princess want you for lunch." And I said, "The main course?" Or and,
let me check my schedule.
And we went, and it was very nice.
Into the palace.
Oh, they had us for lunch, and we came there at a certain time, and they had the changing of the guard, and then we went into a reception hall, and in came their Royal Highnesses, who we were well rehearsed on.
What do you have to do?
Well, you have to call her your Serene Highness, and you call her ma'am, and you call him your Royal Highness. And I remember my wife rehearsed it all, and finally they said, "Your Highness, this is Miss Griffin," and she said, "Your Heisman." And I looked at her and said, "What'd you say?" And she said, and they were standing right there.
It's the kind of thing I might do. Of course, Grace Kelly, having been an actress, really moved into a very different world, although she did come from a wealthy family initially. How did you see her make that transition, having been with her?
Very
did
well.
she really leave all of that behind her?
I guess so. The only thing she didn't have that day was her crown on, because she sat next to me at lunch, and her neck was very stiff, and they were very nice. There were about 6 of us for lunch.
Do you think it's boring to be royalty?
No, I wouldn't think so. Kind of fun.
We were up there, and we were watching the changing of the guards and people walking around, and I said, how do they even get out? Once you go out the front door, people mob.
You see, my theory is that they don't live there. I think they have a little house up in the hills, and I think I'm right.
Oh, really?
And I think that changing the guard, there's 3 men, one man blows a trumpet, right?
Yes, yeah.
And then they run inside. As soon as you go in, they run inside, then they stand at attention on the stairs. And then when you go in for lunch, they run around another way and they become the waiters.
Marvelous theory. Why don't you tell them?
True,
They'll
too.
save some money. I understand you've mastered the French language beautifully. Yesterday you were down front of the hotel with Richard Pryor doing a magnificent job
It really was
of
extraordinary.
communicating.
We'd go up to people, and I would introduce Richard as a great French star, and they would start talking to him in French, and he would talk in Swahili, and then they pretended like they understood him, and they laughed and nodded. And then he talked to another lady in Japanese, and she pretended like she understood. It was very strange what was going on.
But you've traveled a lot, I'm sure, Merv, haven't you?
Yeah, quite a bit.
This is my first time in Europe, ever. And I find myself, I love it, except I find myself doing this all the time. I say, I want a piece of bread.
Well, you have to.
What do you do with your hands? Are you good at sign language after traveling a lot?
You get so you pretty well. No, I take the menu, and if I don't understand it, I make the noises. I go moo for beef, and I go bat for lamb, and for chicken, and they understand that.
Are you kidding me?
Sure.
And then they think,
escargot's very hard to do. Snails, you can't.
feed the guy,
I'll
get
tell
him
you
to
though,
pay
I
the
am
check.
really shocked at the prices here. I wouldn't recommend anybody come here.
It's obviously a place for wealthy tourists. Is that right?
Very wealthy.
But you're wealthy, Merv Griffin.
I object to it violently, my own wealth.
Being wealthy?
No.
Oh.
I'll tell you what, first of all, the prices are way out of line. George Siegel and Richard Benjamin, a couple of them went to lunch the other day and had omelets or something, and the bill was $26.
Yes.
Prices are extraordinary.
I tried
they
on
will
a pair
not
of
take,
slacks that were $80, just because I had to try on a pair of slacks that actually cost $80.
They will not take your American dollars. An airline in Paris, I didn't have a ticket here, so I went and bought one for cash. They wouldn't take the money. They said, you go get French money. Very few people are taking credit cards anymore, because it's, as a man told me yesterday in a place, he said, do we have to wait too long to get our money back? It's very strange here.
But there's something still very romantic, the Côte d'Azur, the whole thing. There's an air about it, and of course the festival. All these people that you've been interviewing since you got here are not strangers on the Merv Griffin show by any means. And I've got to ask you about Toadie Fields, because I love her.
Is she here?
No, not that I know of. And I can't do that routine with you. What's the Toadie Fields?
Oh yeah, but you got to have
routine
little
you do?
3-inch legs to do that, and you have nice legs.
And she stands up. But what happens actually? when she does that?
She has
That's where
very
you stand
low
up.
hips and little 3-inch legs, so her hips are high.
If
So
we
when she
stand up, we're
sits,
gonna
she
goof
sits
you up?
taller than I am, but when she stands
Okay.
on those little 3-inch legs. See? Yeah, well,
Anything
that's
happen?
normal. No,
No,
you're-
I'm normal.
right.
Well, my legs are longer than 3 inches.
There you go.
Oh, terrific. I've wanted to try that. What's Arthur Treacher doing?
He just left. He's been the whole month of April in Los Angeles. He came out to visit me, and he went to Las Vegas with us for a week. He did about 8 or 10 shows. He heads a company known as Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips.
I eat there on the way to the theater a lot.
Do you?
I do.
And they have 300 stores.
Not all in Minneapolis and St. Paul,
No,
however.
I don't.
but
299 of them are there.
Yes, we do have them.
And he travels around to all those things and opens them up and visits them and goes to openings and dinners. And he smells of fish, actually.
Merv, you know, of course, I just said a moment ago, facetiously, you're a wealthy man. We read that all the time. We're told that.
And who writes that?
I don't know. Rumors do spread, don't they? At any rate, supposedly being a wealthy man, people would assume that you don't have to work for a living as hard as you do. You could sit back and enjoy going to Monaco and having lunch with the princess and all of that business. But you're driving and you're working hard. Why?
Well, because I enjoy it. And I'm getting more now to like the things backstage than I used to. I'm far more interested in production. Like right after this interview, I will develop that film. In my sink in my bathroom.
Yes.
No, I'm beginning to like the production end, and I decided to build a company because comes a time when I don't think you continue to be a public person. I've been somehow in the business since 1945, and comes a time when you stop and you say, all right, somebody else take over. But then I want to go another direction. So we've built a company of we have 7 radio stations. We have a tape and film company that services all of the racetracks in Florida and a lot of the East Coast. We produce Jeopardy that's on NBC every day.
You can't say that. This is a Metro Media station.
We produce Jeopardy that's on Metro Media every day.
Fine.
They'll find it somehow. We represent talent. We represent Leslie Uggams. We are her managers.
She's fantastic.
Yes.
What a beautiful woman she is.
Paul Winfield, the young man who was nominated for
And
Sounder.
Sounder.
We
He's
have.
going places.
Oh, yeah,
Wow.
he's
What do you do in
terrific.
your spare time?
Then we have the record company with MGM. It's Griffin MGM Records. We have Trini Lopez, Kathy Carlson, Pearl Bailey, Junior Lace, Help, a lot of other artists.
You're forgetting too many names.
And we just finished the Isaac Hayes special, which I don't know if, did that play yet in, no, it hasn't played in Minneapolis yet.
No,
it will.
but it will.
And then we're doing a Paul Anka special, and we're doing Wayne Newton special.
It's exciting to be involved in so much and do it all so successfully. But
And when you're rich, you can afford better doctors, you see? I used to go to a cheap crowd, now.
It started so long ago. You say 1945. Weren't you with the Freddie Martin?
Oh yeah, but this was before Freddie Martin, this was radio.
And one of your hit songs was I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts.
Yeah,
You want to do a rendition?
I should say not.
Why?
At these prices?
Which is free, is what he
Oh, I'm gonna get out of here.
no, don't go away yet. We have so much more to talk about. Who's of all the people?
See, I may be at your Aquatennial. Did I say that right?
Oh, yeah, Aquatennial, of
Yep.
course. Now, that's the celebration in Minneapolis. That's the summer festival in Minneapolis. St. Paul has the St.
Water
Paul
festival.
Winter Carnival. Right.
Because Spitz couldn't make it, and I have much the same body.
Oh, really?
Yes, I'm swimming there this year.
You're swimming in place of Spitz.
Mm-hmm. Do they have? Don't look, I'm dripping wet from these lights.
Terrific. Terrific.
Do you mind?
No, I don't mind at all, except we've only got a minute left, and then we're going to take a commercial. But tell me what it's like to touch Burt Reynolds.
Where?
Wherever you might have touched him.
Oh,
I
I've
guess.
sat next to him. I don't remember touching him.
Don't do that, Merv.
Oh, we're doing a 90-minute show with Burt Reynolds.
Oh, can I come?
No, it's going to be shot in the street, and
Can I come?
sure.
He's incredible.
He's terrific.
Is he as
We're doing a
nice?
show with him that's very good called Take Me Home Again, where you take a celebrated person back to their beginnings, back to their hometowns, and you photograph their friends and talk to them and their teachers, their football coach, the guy who took the naked pictures of him, that kind of thing.
Oh, listen, stay one more minute, and we will be back in just a minute. We'll find out about all sorts of people that Merv Griffin knows.
I'm built better than Burt Reynolds. Are you kidding?
Well, sort of. Yes, sort
You
of.
like to touch, don't you?
Yes, I do.
And your old man is
I'm a
watching Rosie.
toucher and a clutcher, I'm afraid. Oh, we are. We're back.
We're back.
We've been having a good time. You know, we were talking about Burt Reynolds before.
Okay.
Watching your show, you do have, though you've got these marvelous themes running in the show so
See,
often.
Burt started with me.
Oh, did he?
Oh yeah, he did his first talk. He did his first 22 talk shows with me, which got him started.
His first 22.
As did other people. Well, Richard Pryor came out. He did my first talk show ever. As did Woody Allen. I had Woody Allen under contract. He was a writer. As did Dick Cavett started with me. He was my writer. All these people started on the show.
What about Dick Cavett? He has done so well in the States. And listen, we're here and all of a sudden I'm saying in the States. He has done well, and then he was criticized and lost a lot of airtime and is in many cities back on just once a week, as he is in the Twin Cities. Where do you stand? Is it fair to ask you to comment on another talk show?
No, I'd be happy to comment. He does an excellent job. And there should be a Dick Cavett, and there should be a Johnny Carson, and there should be a Jack Parr, and there should be a Merv Griffin. We all do the shows differently.
Yes, oh yes.
Dick Cavett tends to explore more the more intellectual kind of interviews. We tend to mix them with entertainment and road trips like this. In never trying to telegraph or indicate to the audience what we're going to do next.
I have the
That's why we do a theme one night, and then the next night we do no theme, and then the next night we do a week from Caesar's Palace, and then we do a show of all defense attorneys or priests or millionaires. And then that way always keeps it interesting for me, which, as you know, doing a daily show can be very difficult unless the MC is constantly interested. Otherwise, that's
if you're
a
not
lot of
interested,
people
the
passing
audience
through
is-
your lives every
Yes.
day, and it has to be interesting.
I have the feeling, though, that many of those people that pass through your lives. Thank you.
Got
What
it.
was that?
It was an escargot.
Oh, I don't eat
I
them.
don't
It's
even know
strange.
what that
Someone threw
is,
one
but-
at me. That as those people pass through your lives, I have the feeling that you are a very loyal person. Arthur Treacher was around a long time.
Right.
You have so many people back regularly when you like them. We see Toady Fields a lot. We see Virginia Graham
Well,
a
I think
great
that's good
deal
for the
on your
audience,
show.
too.
But that has to say something about Merv Griffin. I have the feeling you may be a very loyal friend.
Possibly. You don't have to be. You don't have much time to be a friend to anybody when you do a show like this. I don't know any of those people personally.
You don't?
No.
Arthur Treacher?
Well, I know Arthur Treacher very well.
But not Toady.
No, I don't think. I've seen Toady Fields once socially. Now, it's not because I wouldn't like to.
It's
I
time.
would love to. But it hurts my show and hurts my interview if I hang out with the people that I interview. So I don't see them before the show. I don't even say hello to them. I don't see them after the show. When we meet on that stage, that's the show. And I don't know any of them away from that.
The spontaneity helps. Merv, are you, that sort of does away with my next question, but I want to ask it anyway. Are you a sentimental person? Are you an emotional person?
Oh, I think so, sure.
You seem to tune in so often to your people, and you mentioned a moment ago I was a toucher. I've seen you do that.
Oh, sure.
You reach out a lot.
Well, I think you have to do that, and I do it often on the show, to hold somebody, to contain their nervousness, because an awful lot of professionals are terribly frightened.
A lot of people think emotion and sentiment are the same things. Do you?
Emotion and sentiment. No.
Being emotional and sentimental.
No.
Are you one more than the other? What's the difference in your terms?
Well, sentimental is far more surface kind of a reaction than an emotion, which is deeply inset and something inside of you. Sentimental is to laugh or to cry is just an instant.
Don't you find that people...
But you mean sitting around and being sentimental about show business?
How we used to do that.
No,
yeah,
I'm not interested in
show
the past
biz,
at all.
The all... well, you've had theme shows where you've had the stars of yesteryear or what have you, and you talk about that. And now you say you're not interested in the past at all. No. Why?
No, I'm not interested in it. Particularly on a show like this, if you just sit around and dwell in the past, it's just boring to me. I like to get on to the future and what's going to happen and what's in store and what's happening right now.
Are you involved with that? Are you involved in politics? Are you politically oriented?
No.
Do you have strong opinions about things?
Yes, but not on the show.
You don't like to get them mixed up?
We try to handle. Nobody can figure out what we are politically. I'm sure that the many Nixon people the president has called after television shows. I'm sure he thinks that we're Republicans, and I'm sure the Democrats think we're the Democrats. We try to keep the score even by giving them equal time on all issues. It was just a couple of months ago that Ralph Nader came on and said that he felt that very soon it was going to be proved that the Nixon administration might be the most corrupt administration we've ever had. And the audience gasped, and then came an awful lot of revelations. And then we'll have on somebody speaking for the Nixon administration.
You said President Nixon called you directly?
Oh, sure.
What does he say? I mean, I never got a call from the president.
He says, good morning, Mr. Griffin. No, he doesn't. He'll call after, well, let me see. The last time he called was after Tricia was on.
Yes.
And see, we're on Metro Media Station in Washington, which we're on in prime time. So it's a very good hour there.
Just like at our station here.
Right.
Yes,
right. And he'll just chit-chat about Tricia's interview or how he'll even comments on how the show looks now that we're in California in comparison to when we were in New York.
I can't imagine President Nixon chit-chatting. That is an image that the public doesn't see.
Well, he's been on my show twice.
As president?
No, before. Well, he'll chit-chat.
He does?
Yep.
I was interested.
I don't think he's doing a lot of chit-chatting right now.
No, not a lot at all. I was interested.
More chitting than chatting.
Or something like that.
I don't even know what that means.
Now, you're not supposed to be political, right?
All right.
Okay, we won't do our thing. I was interested over here. There are so many lovely words because we're with the Warner Brothers junket right now. You're working with Warner Brothers. And it's so interesting for me meeting people from different countries that
Everything
are on
is
the
Watergate.
junket.
Every newspaper, every headline is Watergate. I mean, they're accusing him now of things that I'm sure never even were there.
Yeah, things are blowing up a great deal.
Yeah.
But the words that I'm getting used to, for instance, we were talking the other night with an English photographer that's here, and he said, "Oh, you have a chat show, have you?" And I said, "Yes, I guess I do." But it's delightful, and it's something that you're more used to than I am.
Sure.
What have been some of the nicer experiences that you've had in foreign countries, such as the romantic Riviera?
Well, we did the Cannes Film Festival in 1968. It was Sean Connery who was then the big star.
Oh,
and it was done very much, the interview with Sean was done from a room like this, only we did it on the balcony with the main boulevard and the Mediterranean behind us, at which time there had to have been 10,000 people in the street screaming. I never saw anything like that film festival. Then one of our bookers came and said, "Merv, John Lennon is on the beach sunning himself." And I said that it's impossible because he's not listed. They said, "Well, he's here and nobody knows it." Now that was at the peak of the Beatles' career. So I said, "Well, if he's there, go get an interview." And we were setting up for somebody else downstairs, and he came back and he said, "Yes, they know the show and he's watched it when he's been in America, and he would like to do an interview." Well, they never had an interview with a Beatle in America. And I said, "But it's not him. It can't. They would know here if John Lennon was here." And he said, well, come on, let's go see. So we walked over there, and son of a gun, it was John Lennon. So we went back from that with the first interview. We used to go every 2 weeks to Europe. That's when we did the show from New York.
Yes.
So we did Lord Bertrand Russell for 90 minutes. I wish I could think of all the people we did.
As you said, so
We
many
had
come in and out of
Spain,
your
we
life.
did in France. We must have been over 50 times doing interviews.
They're quickly telling us we're out of time because in a moment you're going to do Ingrid Bergman
Yes.
here at the Cannes Film Festival. And so in a minute, what does Merv Griffin want to do with the rest of his life?
I think I'll go back to sleep.
That's it. It's
Thank
a
you,
little
Nancy,
warm.
and my thanks to all of your
Merv.
gang at WTCN. I've done a lot of work in promos for them, and
You have.
they're very nice.
You
and,
know, we love you in the Twin Cities. I can't tell you what a thrill it is to
I
meet
love.
you.
I made the best entrance to one of the Twin Cities you've ever seen. We were going to play the prom ballroom in St. Paul, and as we were coming in, the bus broke down, and they brought us into St. Paul in a school bus. And that was
That's
my
an
entrance into the Twin
That's
Cities.
As we say goodbye, I've got to get an autograph from my mother or she'll never speak to me again. So you stay with us. We'll be back in a minute. And Merv Griffin, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nancy.
Nice to talk with you.
Thank you.